Good morning, Baba Kishore. Am I audible?
Yeah, hi, Renuka Garu. Thank you so much
Am I
for
audible?
inviting me. Yeah, you're audible. You're audible.
A very good afternoon to all the students. On behalf of Department of Business Management, RBVRR Women's College, I, Dr. Lalita, I welcome Mr. Baba Kishore Mutta, founder and CEO of EALKAY Consultancy. Mr. Baba is a qualified strategist from IIM Lucknow, and he has also done PG in fintech from IIM Lucknow itself. He has more than 2 decades of experience in corporate finance and business strategy. He has over a span of 20 years, he has worked on greenfield and brownfield projects. He helped raise funds of more than 800 crore, spanning across debt, structured finance, private equity, and IPO, and restructuring for more than 20,000 crore assets and worked on bidding models of uh, 84,000 crores. His relationship encompasses the financial professions of the industry, eminent corporate lawyers, mergers and acquisitions, experts, banking, NBFC, and private equity players. His strength is to structure, plan, strategize, finance, garn, and deliver the desired results. He is currently advising clients in multiple sectors, including but not limited to technology, real estate, infra, education, HR, etc. Sir, I welcome you and we are honored to have you here. Now I leave the session to you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lalita, and thank you so much, Renuka, for introducing you to your students and your college. And it's very nostalgic that a person as a kid who was walking around the boundaries of the college, RBVRR Women's College, is today actually taking a session to the students. So I'm sure I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yes, students. So I'm assuming that all the students forming part. I'm assuming that the students here are completely MBA first year and second year, and they have already got into specter of business management with a lot of thought process going forward. They would like to unleash their dreams. So keep going. This is a wonderful space where if you are very serious and committed, you will achieve your goals. And this is an area which is unlimited in sphere. So it all depends on how much you want to milk it and you will get it. So that this is how the MBA will shape up you as a person. And as Lalita briefly mentioned about me quoting what I've done. So recently, quest of learning is very important, and I'll tell you how important it is during the session. So I'm CA intermediate. I did my MBA from SMU. I did my APSL from IIM Lucknow, and then PG in FinTech from IIM Nagpur. So still there is a quest of knowledge which I would like to acquire to be more relevant in this industry. So how it is important during the session, I'll certainly take you through. So in any part of the session, if any of the students feel that they need to understand something, you can please raise your hands so that at whatever appropriate time I can pitch into it and kind of convey or clarify that particular point. So let's start into the session. So the most important thing which I would say, which has been heard since quite long time, is skill. So this word skill has been there for long since the human evolution has happened in this planet Earth. So there is no end to this word called skill. So when there is no end to this word called skill, human actually invents, innovates, and brings to the forefront the changing life dynamics. So when the changing life dynamics happens, the communities or organizations which shape up also undergo a lot of change. So which could be into a different set of forms, which currently every one of you know. So many of you know that have read in the past in your course that a business can be into form of a different forms. So it could be a sole proprietor. So it could be a partnership. Similarly, it could be a company format, and then in it could be a new format like LLP. So when these different sorts of business forms are being created in the space, which actually innovates a particular use case and puts across to the changing life pattern of the society, and that's how we see society improving day by day, month on month, and year on year. But what exactly were a set of conventional skills which were in vogue since probably I'll talk about you because I belong to a millennial generation and you belong to the Gen Z generation. So I have seen my parents, I have seen myself, I have seen my peers. Now I'm seeing the Gen Z. But all these three generations which are traveling currently together, they'll always say that you need to respect your parents, you need to respect your culture, you need to respect the geography into which you are in, you need to follow the protocol which is available. So what exactly were the conventional skills which would have made people employable? See, because at the end of the day we put in a lot of hard work by going to school, saying yes to the teacher, saying yes to the madam, saying yes to the principal, and then to meet the aspirations, we will go and join our intermediate after 10th. And then we go through a lot of grinding in intermediate, which is the continuation to your higher secondary school. And then we start to have a lot of dreams, which we want to do it in the future, and we do our graduation into different disciplines. And once we complete the graduation, then we say that we need to master a particular area. And one of the mastering area is your MBA. So when a particular student travels through a zone of almost like 2 decades from the time a person is born till the time a person is employable, almost 2 decades of journey in different sets of institutions, in different sets of levels and different sets of maturities. And all through the period, there are some few set of conventional skills which are being taught to the student. If you want to achieve your dream, then you need a most important thing, which is qualification. So I'm sure everyone would relate their experiences at home, saying that the parents wish to see their kids as engineer or doctor or MBA or a CA or a CS. So they say that if you have qualification, you can make money. So that means instead of looking at whatever interest a particular child has to go through, there is an indirect pressure on the child, which is you and me, saying that you need to acquire qualification if you have to become successful. And only when you become successful, money will be with you, desires will be with you, and you can achieve the best. So this is one tantrum which has been taught to me when I was growing, as well as to all of you when you were growing. So there is a mindset in everyone's thought process which says that before I start thinking something novel, I need to acquire qualification. That is the reason why you see that a sports person, even though he or she is exceedingly doingly well in sports, the parents will come back and say that you're playing very well, but please complete your graduation, which is a minimum required thing. Same is the case with arts or with the film industry or with any other places. They'll say that you need a qualification. Without qualification, you are no one after you're graduated. So in our mindsets or in our society, one of the most important conventional skill is having a qualification for a which is a gateway or a passport towards attaining a success. So this is something which we acquire in our 2 decades of journey in the education, and we are very good at it. Indians are very good at it because we are in a structured society. We have our own culture of learning, and we have mastered the art of acquiring qualifications. But whether that qualification is relevant or not is something which is an isolated perspective to a particular student and the family into which student comes through. And the next most important conventional skill is goal seek. So I'm sure many of you would agree to this point, because you want to read, your parents will have only two dreams. One is doctor, other one is engineer. That is the reason why in South India you will see so many engineering colleges, and medicine being a centrally controlled allocation, you will see a little populous one. So these are the two important things which is always there on the minds of the parents, and they'll say that you need to become engineer, you need to become a doctor. Only when students don't get into this engineering or doctor, they end up doing BCA, MCA, and then they'll be coming into this management stream. But it is very rare to say that you will become a leader. So you will never hear someone saying that, why don't you become a corporate lawyer? Why don't you become a corporate leader? So there is no goal seek definition for these kind of things. These are like something which will come as you don't get into bucket one, so you're put into bucket two. But what you need to understand is goal seek is something which is taught to you from the childhood. So that means you are very clear. You need to crack the MSET, you need to become an engineer, you need to become a doctor. And if these two are not happening, then you need to get into a BCA or an MCA or a BCom, and then get into an MBA or CA or CS or LLB. So this is something which is very clear. Everyone, even a higher secondary student, if you ask, he will tell all these professions. He say that, the first priority is I'll become engineer, I'll become doctor, otherwise other alternatives. So that means since childhood, you and I are taught about qualification, then a goal seek. The most important third conventional skill, which is always taught to us, is hard work. So this hard work is a very peculiar thing, right? Indians are very good at hard work. That is the reason why you see Indian employable force who will be working in the back-end process of the global MNCs are on the highest. If you look at the Microsoft or Apple or any other global MNC like JP Morgan or Synchrony, or for that matter, Deloitte or EY or KPMG. So all these organizations, they come to the shores of India for only two reasons. One, they get a good infrastructure with a lower rent. Second, there is a skilled people with good graduation qualification and technical background. And all the children are taught to do hard work since their childhood. So none of the parents teach us how to do a smart work. So that is the reason you will see that in the globe, while US is the strongest geography in the entire continent of Earth, you will see US is very strong only because they are very smart. They they develop the smart thoughts while they leave the hard work to the rest of the world. So while Indians could be a good coders, Chinese could be a good manufacturers, and similarly, their products could be bought by a Japan or a Southeast Asia or the Euro region, and they make good amount of money. You will never see any time hearing that manufactured in USA, because they wanted to protect their air and environment, and they want to be more cleaner in what they breathe, whereas they'll pollute the other nations which are ready to take this kind of a work. So that means Indian culture teaches us that you need to do hard work if you are required to be successful. So this is another quality which you and me have been imbibed since we are childhood. And other most important part is loyalty. So this is a other conventional skill which is taught by our parents, by our forefathers, and which is a culture of India. Wherever we work, once we work, you need to be loyal. And that is the reason why we see a lot of work anniversaries being celebrated across the work spheres. So I have seen in my past, an employee who joined in an organization is there for almost 25 to 30 years before he retired. Because this phenomenon of loyalty, sticking to one company, is having a background. Like, the India after independence, the first time it has seen a bit of nationalization is 1969. Before nationalization of banks came, between 1955 to 56 is when most of our corporate and taxation acts have been passed. I'm sure most of you would have known the Companies Act was promulgated in 1956. Similarly, the income tax had been promulgated in 1962. So these are the two important pillars of the corporate hierarchy, which defined India into a different league. And after that, in 1969, the banks were nationalized to take care of the increasing industrialization, which was about to begin, and also to improve the credit. And in exactly 79, 80 is when you will see that the capital markets have also started very actively participating into the business and industries and creating manufacturing capacities. And that's when you will see most of the people till such time were employees of government, whether it is state or central, and then moved to public sector undertakings as an employees. And that's exactly when in 1991, because we had encountered a foreign exchange crisis for our imports, which you are currently seeing in Sri Lanka, which is happening. Even India was not having any respite in 1991. We were in a similar kind of situation, but we had much better brains to handle that kind of situation, which currently is not happening in Sri Lanka. And that's when we said that we'll open up our shores and we'll do globalization. And that then came your private sector participation into the country. So that private sector participation started between 92 to 96, and that's when you will see most of the companies which are currently listed in BSE or NSE have actually been incorporated between 87 to 92, and that's when they access markets between 92 to 96, and your real private sector participation started from 96 onwards. And that's when in 2000 I got graduated, and that's when I was introduced to the private sector market. And in the private sector, slowly these employees who are experienced in government PSU undertakings who want to take a new taste of life started coming to private sector because private sector immediately required experience. So the people who came into private sector came with the mindset of the state and the PSU experience. And most of the times, till I would say till 2020, they stick on to the private companies for almost like 25 to 30 years. And this phenomenon was very peculiar only in India, where most of the employees will stay put with the company for such long years. So that means whether it is me or you as millennials and Gen Z, we have seen these 4 points very closely with our parents or with our great grandfathers or grandfathers, saying that qualification is important for your success. You need to have a goal sake, you need to become a certain qualified. So from child itself, you are trained in such pattern. And hard work is something which is non-negotiable for Indian culture. And loyalty is something which always taught that you will be rewarded if you are very loyal for a long term. So these were the conventional skills which have been there in India, I would say till 2018. But times have changed now in the last 4 years, especially the pandemic coming in and post demonetization in 2016, the workplace is completely redefined. So no more these skills has got its value because they derive certain advantage because they have actually positioned India into a different league in the global world. And with these tenets only, the CEO of Google or the Microsoft or Indian origins are actually running the global MNCs. So what exactly have changed in this last 6 years, which is now dominating the Indian space? And that's what we call the new age skills. And that's exactly is the interesting topic which we have lined up for today. So what exactly is your new age skills? Renuka garu, can the students participate a bit, or it's only one way that I need to talk? Can the students participate? Hello, Renuka.
Hello.
Can the students participate, or it's only one way which is enabled?
No, students can participate. They can
Oh,
unmute and they can ask the
okay,
questions, or you can
okay,
ask them to
okay,
participate.
okay. So can anyone unmute? Not all at a one time. Can anyone raise their hands? Probably I'll just unmute them so that they can talk. What exactly is the definition of the new age skills they would mean? Anyone would like to unmute and talk? What according to them is new age skill? There's no one. No one want to talk. Okay. Okay. So the new age skill is something which is really different from your conventional skill. While the conventional, the bare minimum conventional skill which I taught you in the beginning remains as a pillars or a foundation, but these pillars or foundation requires little bit of renovation or a modification to ensure that we come out of that silo and try to be part of the new age global village. I won't call Indian village. The reason is with advent of internet and with advent of the kind of tools which are available now for us to engage and communicate, the world has shrunken. Even though in a flight you have to travel to US, still you need to go through that painful period of more than 24 hours. But when it comes to business, the time and distance have shrunk quite a lot. So it is, the perspective has completely changed. The workspace is no more local, it is global. That means it's global plus local. So in this global plus local, which is called local, what are the things as a students you need to arm yourself so that when you actually land up into the real world of fight, or I will say a race, how you can survive. So what are the additional things apart from your degree which you need to be aware of, or which you need to be armed yourself so that you will end up doing a wonderful job when you actually are into the race of the real world to succeed. So the most important point which I will quote is flexible. This is very, very important. You need to be flexible if you have to be relevant. If you are rigid in your thought process, you can never succeed in the real world. This is the most important new age skill which is required. If you are not flexible, then people and society will not accept you. No more a rigidity is accepted in the work world. So that means tomorrow in the corporate, if you are happy with one function and all of a sudden there is a requirement in another function which is related to your field, and if you say that, no, I don't want to do this because I'm good at only this boundary, then you will never grow. So that means whatever is your ambit of qualification which you are acquiring, you need to be flexible to adopt bucket one, bucket two, bucket three, bucket four as that is required in your corporate. Assume that you go to a banking industry. If you take BFSI industry, what we call now, they'll put you into selling of insurance. Assume that you got a job in selling of insurance. You will say that, hey, I did MBA marketing, but I don't want to just stand in the branch and sell a policy for the customer who is walking into the bank. But then if you go with that mindset, saying that there will be a chair, there will be a desk, and you will have someone, an admin staff to support you, and you are just required to give an application, take an application to sign, that's not going to work. So you need to be very flexible. In the current example, what I've taken, if you are given a passport to sell an insurance, probably you will not have a desk to sit also. You need to stand in the customer lobby and you need to see what kind of customers are walking into the bank. And depending on your judgment, like who is the customer who will listen to you and can convince and get convinced to sell an insurance, you will immediately go to that person and start your marketing pitch, which is given as a key performance role for you. And over after 3 months, the bank may come back and say that, or the HR may come back and say that, hey, we gave you an opportunity to market insurance products, but we saw that you're not up to the mark. So probably we will just put you back into some other transaction processing, like you may have to do some clerical job. So the clerical job involves accepting the checks which is coming in a live location or cash getting deposited into the bank. It could be any withdrawal teller machine or anything. Then you should not say that, hey, look, for the last 3 months I've been learning this and I've now learned this. Now all of a sudden you're coming and changing my role. Probably I've started enjoying it, so I don't want to take the chance. So it is possible that one of you may respond like this, but you should not respond in that manner in today's world. You should be flexible enough to say that, okay, this is my new role. Let me just explore it. Who knows? After traveling in 2 to 3 roles, I may come to a conclusion that what is my strength and what is that I need to work. So that means being flexible in your environment, work environment. will give you an opportunity to discover yourself or rediscover yourself, so that you will get to know what is your strength and what is your weakness, thereby helping you to achieve scale of heights. So this is very important new age skill which all of you should practice even as a student. I would say that as a student, form groups, and in the groups, do the roles. One will be CEO, one will be CFO, and one will be HR, and one will be admin, another will be procurement, another will be support functions. So do a mock-up groups, form communities, and start giving roles as a mock-up organizations. And that will give you a discovery path, which will make you understand how practical you are in a particular role. Because in mock-up, what happens? You do rotation. When you do rotation, you will know which role will be performed and how others are accepting you or how others are rejecting you. So this is very important new age skill which all of you should practice. And the second most important skill, which is today relevant in the technical world, is agile. So if you are not agile, you will never be part of the system. So what do you mean by agile? Quick and adaptive. So that means if a situation comes, you need to quick to respond and adaptive to a situation. Rather than asking a question, you should jump into it to see how you can modify your current line of activity into a new line of activity. So I'm sure many of you would have read this book called Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson, which is a very, very old book, which even I read during my journey in the graduation. So the characters, two of the characters will run through the maze to find new variety of cheese, while the existing two set of people will continue to look at why the cheese has been completed in the cheese station and when the cheese will be replenished. So agility means that if you stand back and say that, hey, the organization policy has changed, so maybe we may expect an amendment to it. So let me just wait for an amendment and then I'll change myself. And there could be some employees saying that, anyway, it's an organization policy which has come through. So let me just quickly understand what are the terms imbibed into it and let me just go about it. If you take the real life example now, which is this is the month of July, right? So as per the Indian Income Tax Act, everyone needs to file the income tax return by July 31st. This is applicable to individuals and which are not tax audit cases. So everyone is anticipating that, hey, like every year, we will get extension of income tax date and probably we can be lazy or lethargic in filing. But yesterday, the revenue secretary has clarified that department is not in a mood to extend this deadline of 31st. So that means there are set of people who has actually started immediately digging their bank accounts this weekend and trying to connect with their chartered accountants to file their income tax returns. There are still some set of people who say that, who believe that, hey, let me just wait till July 30th. I am sure there will be pressure on the government to extend the deadline. So I'll wake up on July 30th. So on July 30th, they'll wake up and see whether in Twitter income tax department has actually notified this extension or not. And if the notification has not come for extension of date, then they'll pull up their socks on 31 and they'll jam the server. So this is what happens if you're not agile. So that means you need to be very, very agile so that you achieve your goal, you achieve your objective, you will achieve your framework, and you will implement all the aspects which are required. So agile applies even to your education as well. You should not wait till your semester exams comes. You should prepare yourself as you're preparing for your life. And you should not wait till last minute of semester exam to say that I'll adopt a shortcut methods to see that how I can get good marks. Rather, be agile to learn whatever is provided to you as a curriculum so that you will understand each and every concept of it. And then you should not worry about what kind of question paper that comes to you. Rather, you should be in a mood to say that whatever question that comes to me, let me just go and answer it. So that agility should be there. If you build this agility from now itself, when you switch to the corporate world, your agility factor will increase and that will help you to reduce the stress levels and improve the productivity. The third most important thing is inclusiveness. This is a very most important new age skill. There is earlier years it used to be, I. Slowly it said that we. And now, if it is not we, there is no space at all to any of you. I'm sure everyone would have followed the Google or your research databases or following the daily business standard or the economic times to see that there are startups which are unicorns. How they are becoming unicorns? Does it mean that India didn't have unicorns in the past? Or does it mean that the way we are doing business is different? No. The business, which is your P&L and balance sheet and your accounting standards all remain same. There is no change in that. So what is changed is accepting that with my idea, I alone cannot travel and I need to bring in all types of people who will stand with me in my support for a collective goal to be achieved. So that means I need to be prepared to include as many people as possible to make my or sell my idea to people so that many people will join with me and support in a collective approach. So if you don't have inclusiveness, then you are not fit for the today's corporate world. So you can never say that I have done this. It is always the adage of we have done this. And even in your college, you can see that there are multiple groups who are there, like friend one, friend two, friend three. Hey, we'll not take friend four because we three are very close. And you may see the group saying that let's this group not discuss anything with another group. Please come out of that silos. All of you are one. All the MBA first year and MBA second year, even though distributed by sections, you all are one. See as a group how much you can explore and how many people you can include in a common goal, how many people you can accept as a part of a common agenda. And this common goal, collective agenda, and collective growth will actually define your success even when you step out into the corporate world. So when you step out into the corporate world, you need whatever function you are doing, you should be open to say that I'm aware of this, I'm not aware of this. And you should be open to ask, how do you think I'm performing? Taking an opinion, taking a criticism, accepting criticism, and then remodifying yourself to include many more people in the way you think, in the way you work, in the way you deliver. So this inclusiveness is very, very important in this new age work culture. And the fourth most important thing is teaming and leadership. So this teaming and leadership, earlier it used to be only the coin leadership. Probably even in your MBA curriculum, you would have seen leadership, leadership management, leadership role, and then how leaders' personalities exist and how what kind of different types of leadership skills are being put. And there are a lot of theories, case studies which you read in your MBA curriculum. But leadership alone is not going to survive. Now there is something which is precedent to leadership, that is teaming. Until unless you cannot create a team, you can never become a successful leader in today's world. You need to be a great team leader before you turn out to be a leadership. Because at the end of the day, no matter what kind of technology is coming, what kind of corporate spaces are changing, at the end of the day, we are human beings, and we are human beings coming off from a certain DNAs which will still remain same for the next 3 decades, I would say, before it goes for a complete transformation. So that means leadership is all about saying that I'll vacate the seat. Leadership is not about I am the leader, so you follow. That should never be the approach. Leadership is all about you should be prepared to leave your seat to make another leader so that your chain will become more leaders. But in past world, or I would say till the last 5 6 years, you would have heard the word that I am the founder of the company, so I'll continue to be the chair of the company till I die. That will not work now. You need to be, if you even if you are the founder of the company, if you feel that there is a talent which has actually teamed up with you when you are very small, and that team will also have aspirations, and this founder needs to understand that we as a leader, I need to make these aspirations live, and then he vacates the seat as a chairman and then allows his team, which was part of the company's growth, as chairman or a founder or a director or a key management person. So this vacation of chair is what is the true leadership skill one needs to develop. And for that to happen, you need to do a lot of teaming. So divide and rule is the exterior formula. Now it's no more the formula. The more you divide, the more isolated you will become. So you should forget that rule even in the college when you are doing your education of divide and rule. You should always see how many people can team up for a collective goal, how many people can team up for a collective objective, and who will be the leader who will lead this team without diluting the objective. And that's what is all about teaming and leadership, which will shape your career in the future time to come. And the other thing which everyone are important, or I would say everyone looks towards it in today's world, is digital transformation. So gone are the days when people say that I'll write everything, I'll note everything in a notepad. So now that analogy will not work. Probably by the time you will come to the world of employment, you should be ready to understand how you should take notes on a mobile phone, or how you should take notes on your iPad, or how you need to take notes on a digital medium or device which your respective company will provide. So from text messaging, we have transformed to WhatsApp messaging. From WhatsApp messaging, now we are transforming to chatbots. From chatbots, we are transforming to a new concept called workflow. So one workflow mechanism, now we are transitioning to ticketing system. And from all this put together is what we are transitioning into a virtual reality. And when I package everything into it, it's called learning the nuances of all this ecosystem is called artificial intelligence. And when a text is involved, then I'll say it's called machine learning. So that means the way we were talking, the way the data was actually being presented in Excel sheet is going to undergo a lot of change. While Excel will continue to remain as a backend because Excel has got a computing capabilities, but the way you present it to the stakeholder or external world is undergoing a complete change. So you need to make yourself aware of what is a digital transformation which is happening, and what is a digital transformation role which will happen, and what is the digital transformation which tools I need to learn. So if you don't learn those digital transformation tools, probably you will become rotten in very few initial years. For example, I don't know how many students know about this Tableau and Power BI. When you're a student, you have time. When you have time, you need to study these tools, because if you study these tools, then you will be greeted to the organizations, because you will be given a lot of miles of data to maze through and give you the presentation. Similarly, when you know Excel, I'm sure everyone might have learned what is basic Excel or basic Word. There could be few students out of their own interest, they might have learned advanced Excel. I would say every one of you, please learn advanced Excel, including macros. Don't wait for the corporate journey to tell you that you need to study Excel. And especially the marketing and finance specializations, they need to mandatorily learn advanced Excel, and they need to mandatorily learn macros by the time they are employable. And the new concept in Excel is dashboard. So if you know how to create dashboards in Excel, then you have an edge over others in the interview. So the dashboards are the new kind of framework which is now coming up, because we know that there are a lot of database companies like Tableau and Power BI who is giving you a beautiful UI to present once I put in the data into the backend. Now Excel is also saying that if you have mastered Excel, then we are presenting here with the dashboard concept, which is at par with any other tools which are available in the market. So learn this dashboard concept of how you need to present the data for the role you will be employed with. And similarly, learn all these tools in your leisure time so that you're not new to it when you're actually put to the real case study. And most of the organizations nowadays are transforming themselves into a different set of a league, because earlier people used to do a manual softwares, a multiple set of softwares without integration. So now every organization is working on integrating different sets of software, different types of software, so that the data duplication is avoided, and the end output is achieved in time with efficiency and with minimum errors. And I'm sure everybody would have used their parents' credit cards or the debit cards, or could have you have had the student debit cards and all. So earlier, to get to know the balance of my period, especially, I need to take a passbook to the bank and present it and wait for the printer, dot matrix printer to print and give me the balance. But in today's world, it is millisecond. The moment one does a transaction, you get a transaction alert and also give you what is the balance available in it. So that means the way the data is getting fed into the system, the way the data is traveling into the system is so much integrated with multiple tools that data duplication is avoided, data redundation is avoided, and your data efficiency is very accurate. And the user gets the data in real-time environment, which is milliseconds. So you all should not hesitate from not being digital. You should rather form a community and say that what are the different sets of tools which are employed by the corporates, which are suitable to the MBA curriculum. And when we are actually putting into BFSI sector or in a pharma sector or in an infrastructure sector or probably in a capital market sector or an investment banking sector, what are the different tools which are deployed for all these sectors, which we need to understand them so that when you actually go and sit into the chair, you know the framework already, and what you need to do is that specific thing to the organization which is configured. So that makes your life easy, that gives a lot of value, and that gives you edge when you actually go to the real world market. And the most important element which was limited to only company secretaries in the past, because they were the conduit to the corporate and to the shareholders, saying that I am the person who will be responding to the investor complaints which I receive. But now the stakeholder engagement concept has changed. Now, no more the company secretary is the fulcrum, rather, a set of people who will be working in close tandem to the board of directors are the people who will be answering to stakeholders. Now, the definition of stakeholders have increased. It is not just the shareholders in a private company, or not just a public shareholders in a listed company, or not just a shareholder who has come in a private equity. It is a culmination of many factors depending on what kind of an organization it is. Whether it is a startup, if it is a startup, then you have seed shareholders, you have angel shareholders. And if the growth stage company is there, then you have venture capital shareholders. And then if you have grown to the company, then you're going to the public, then you have a large QIP shareholders, a private equity shareholders, and then the public shareholders if you're getting yourself listed. So that means the stakeholders or the shareholder definition has expanded in a broad-based manner to different set of organizations, which comes at different sets of time. So with this kind of uh, multi-set of shareholders being there, stakeholder engagement is something which is a very important subject now. You should look this as one of the career options, because if you understand the business, if you understand the macros, if you understand the overall financials of a company, then it will be very useful for you to be part of the team which will be responding to the external stakeholders. Similarly, you have internal stakeholders. So internal stakeholders includes a representative director on the board or a nominee director on the board, because you are being funded by a seed fund or an angel fund or a venture capital fund. You may have a nominee director on the board. Similarly, you have your employees, you have your own senior management team or a middle management team or a lower management team, and you will continue to organization continues to accept many people as it grows and expands horizontally and vertically. So these are all your internal stakeholders. So the stakeholder engagement team is a bridge between the external stakeholder and internal stakeholder, works in close tandem with the board of directors. And what it goes into it is you need to be understanding the macro set of the business. You need to be efficient in digital tools. You need to be very good in communication. You need to be very good in presentation. And if you are able to stitch all these things together, then this is one good area which I would say that acquire this skill so that you become more employable and you become more successful. And the other skill which is available now, a new age skill which is required, is called full stack. You might have heard this term for technology perspective, saying that nowadays any full stack developer only gets a job, but full stack is devoid of the technology. It is applicable to the whole world. Like, in finance, you learn in finance, if you go to the real world, you have something called uh, working capital management, you have something called a project finance, you have got something called structured finance, you have capital markets, you have investment banking, and you have this new age set of funding options if you're working with a startup like Seed Fund and Angel Fund and Venture Capital. So these are the different gamuts in finance. You will see a kind of experience which will be required to work on all these functions. So assume that you start up your career and you get on to working capital management role. And after 1 or 2 years, you get an opportunity to say that you got onto the project finance. You should never say no to that. Rather, jump onto it to get the new skill. Because otherwise, after 10 years of traveling, what will happen is your resume will become a single silo. Either you're a project finance expert or a working capital management expert. Then you are not full stack. So once you are not full stack with more number of experience, the higher the experience, the more the full stack it is demanded by the corporate world. Then you will become redundant after 15 years or 20 years. Then people will not require you. They'll say that thank you so much. You have given an excellent service to the organization. We recognize your efforts, and now it's time to say goodbye and relax yourself. And then again, go back into the market and you'll see which is the unorganized sector which will give you an opportunity for my skill. Don't wait for that moment. Rather, from beginning itself, make yourself agile to say that I'll become a full stack experienced person, whether it is finance, marketing, HR, or information systems. I'll try to see that my career for the next 10 to 15 years will go into different verticals of the organization so that I'll become a full stack experienced person. And then from there on, I'll be working on the strength which will be defining my balance 20 years of my career. And the most important thing is communities. This is a new age skill which is required. Without having communities, no one will recognize your skill. Assume that this planet is billions population. What are you? Only you know. But how will the rest of the world knows? Only when you participate into the communities. You need to see what are the relevant communities where you need to interact with, where you need to associate with, and how you need to show up your skill and or help others in showing up their skill. So that means sometimes your skill becomes an output, sometimes your skill becomes an input. But engaging with a community of relevance, which is of importance to you, makes all the difference. So always keep open to the option of getting into the communities where your skill and relevance would be available. And most important and most liked topic of all yours is social media management. You might have wondered why the hell I brought this here, because this is not a new age skill. But please understand, the way HR is studying each person's profile has changed. HR is more serious about the behavior of a person on the social media channels. So if a company of a particular repute is recruiting you or considering you for the role, they will be looking back your social media profiles for the last 2 to 3 years to analyze what kind of person you are, what kind of activities you do, what kind of text and blogs you write, and how the people are accepting you, and how the people are commenting on your posts, and what kind of network is actually ready to follow you with your ideology. So this is very, very important. So I'm not saying that stop your fun, don't enjoy, don't post your fun pictures and all, but at the same time, respect what each platform is made for. Like, Facebook is meant for family and friends. Restrict it to family and friends with occasional success stories to be published. Similarly, when it comes to Insta is more about a Gen Z community. Millennials are just watchers there. Who performs the most or who is active on Insta is all Gen Z. That means whoever has born after 96, 97 are the highest followers of Instagram. So create a profile which is unique or which gives you creativity. That means if I am recruiting one of the student in this call, probably I'll check their Instagram page to see how creative they are. If they are monotonous, if they are linear in their approach, then I'll simply say that this person is no different from a Facebook profile. So So he is also just putting his family friends pictures as a duplication from Facebook just because he needs to cater to few more audiences. So that means it is negative on the Instagram. And then the LinkedIn, which is your professional page. Never undermine the power of LinkedIn because all professionals meet there with a common objective. And when it comes to professional, information and facts should be accurate. You cannot write whatever that comes to your mind. You cannot write something what you have written for your friend. So this is very, very important that you understand the each platform and its importance and its purpose, and your activities should be distributed across the platforms in a similar form and manner. So in Twitter, you don't have any work, you may think, but you have all the work in engagement. Assume that there are a lot of influencers like Zero the founder, where you all know Mr. Kamath. And similarly, there could be a Rezape promoter putting some post, or Anand Mahindra in the recent times has been very active. So, when these kind of successful corporates or successful startup founders get into a lot of posts, be their audience, engage with them in the dialogue. And those engagements makes a lot of difference when you actually go to the corporate world, because when the HR screens your Twitter profiles, they'll see whether you made Twitter profile because there needs to be a Twitter login, or do you really active in it, either in the form of a post or in the form of an engagement. So these vital things play a role if you have to work for your favorite company. Otherwise, you will be just like a person among the herd. So other most important thing. So other most important thing is fintech and metaverse. Don't undermine these two concepts in the new age skills. You may find how it is a skill, because whatever you're learning now as a conventional qualification, which includes your finance specialization or a marketing specialization or a HR or information system, or it could be combination of anything. But what you need to top it up is technology, which is a part is covered in digital transformation in the form of what corporates will put across into their mechanisms and tools so that everybody can do their work. The other important thing which is emerging is metaverse. So this metaverse is nothing but, if I'll just brief you so that you will understand very well. Currently, whatever we are browsing or whatever we are engaging ourselves with, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or Insta, or any of these platforms, these are called Web 2.0. So that means somebody is creating a space. We are given an access as a free user so that we can get onto that platform without paying any cost, and we post our content. Basis the number of users logging onto the platform. The platform monetizes in the form of advertisement. So that means all these platforms, whatever you are seeing, whether it is Google, Facebook, which is called Meta now, or Twitter, or LinkedIn, or YouTube, everyone works for only one objective, which is how to create advertisement money. For creating advertisement money, they create a platform to pull the users without asking for any subscription, without asking for any cost, so that they are given space to post their views, content, and everything. So and it becomes centralized because their platform is managed by the professional management or the board of YouTube, which is an Alphabet company, and then Meta or Twitter or anyone else. So user has no say in it. That means any feature or any privacy policy or anything which is undergoing a change, there won't be any view considered from the user, because you and I will get only notification saying that within this date, if you are not accepting the privacy policy, then your login will be disabled. Then you, without even reading, we have learned the art of checking the box. I understood the terms and conditions and I am giving my consent to the privacy. We don't even read what kind of data they are pulling out from me. So that is called Web 2.0. So when you actually decentralize these behemoths, the technology behemoths, and create small pools where you and I can also contribute our views, and you and I can also be part of the way organization functions, that's called Web 3.0. And that's exactly is called metaverse. So in metaverse, it is decentralized world And in this decentralized world, depending on which platform you choose, you also become part of a governing body and you also put your views, but you need to pay for the space. So that means to enter into that platform, either you need to buy their coins or you need to buy a space so that you can get inside it and provide your views onto it. So that is the difference between Web 3 2.0 and Web 3.0. Now, for marketing students, this transition is very important because how marketing is done in billboards today in a physical world to Google ads and analytics to Facebook ads and LinkedIn and Twitter ads, which are done in a virtual world, to how they get transition to metaverse. In what way users can be pulled, because it's not a free, it is a paid pass program, and you need to pay for some points which that particular platform is there. So how can you attract the eyeballs, and how can the advertising be successful in this world? And to be part of this world, you need to wear something called a virtual gear headset so that you are getting into a virtual world, which is a metaverse world, and the users will engage there in a soft form characters, which will be there forever. So, how the marketing is going to change in transition from this billboard to SMM to metaverse world? This is very important transition, which the marketing team has to understand it. And I would say these two batches or two or three batches from today onwards are really blessed because they are actually getting onto the foundation, and if they are very serious about making the career, they need to follow this space very closely on a day-to-day basis. And next comes your last concept of new age skill is fintech. You may say for finance students, especially the finance of MBA, they may say that, sir, मैंने finance पढ़ लिया. I have studied finance. Why do I require fintech again? I'll take a small example what exactly fintech is. You have a cake in a bakery, and that cake used to have a small cream when I was kid. That means the cream was actually put with cone onto it, so that a small portion of a cake on the top portion used to apply with the cream. As I grew, that became pastry. So the pastry was more spongier, more fresh, more juicier, and it had a cream covered in full layer. And now today, as I have become a mid-adult, the concept of pastry itself is undergoing a change because pastry is no more pastry because the spongier portion is still there with the juicier part, but I'm adding whipped cream at a higher portion and then adding a little bit of ice cream to call it a new dish. So that means the evolution of cake has changed by adding more cream or bringing ice cream as a concept. But cake still remain. It was hard form when I was a kid. It was spongier form when I was a growing adult. It is now a juicier form when I'm an adult. So fintech is also like that. The finance is your cake. So that means finance as a concept is not going to go anywhere. Whereas this cream is called tech, which is going to overlap onto that finance. So if you don't learn tech finance, then you will be getting into the normal kind of a roles, which will be of no use to you because this is going to lead the race for the next 3 decades. So if you want to become employable, if you want to become engaged, and if you want to become successful, understand what fintech space is all about. Understand what is the tech layer of that finance which is helping up. For example, take example your Razorpay case study itself. Razorpay was a simple payment gateway, but today they are a grown-up fintech company where a second company cannot match their services. They took this proposition much earlier in 2015 to say that we want to grow as a fintech company. Now, 7 years down the line, the kind of transition they have, the kind of products they engage, the kind of products they have successfully emerged from the sandbox program of RBI is phenomenal. They can't even think of competitor coming in and matching their services. So that is the kind of fintech space which is there. And whatever lending you are seeing now, you might have seen ads of digital lending from HDFC Bank. Lending remains same. Accessing the credit profile, analyzing the credit profile, sanctioning the loan, everything remains same as the steps. But what has changed is the way it is, the tech layer is interacting with the user, the way the tech layer is interacting with the different bureaus, the way the tech layer is interacting with the government, thereby cutting down the time and giving you the service conclusion in lesser time with higher efficiency and higher accuracy. So this is one of the skill which I would recommend the finance students to keep an eye on it, to understand how the real world use cases are being solved by fintech. So these are the new age skills I feel that as students, as future students who are going to the corporate world should understand, study, analyze, team, group, be part of community, and engage to achieve the best out of it. I'm sure you might have understood. I've told so many things in just 1 hour, but any one of you are having any kind of a doubts or any kind of clarification would you like to take, I'm open to take the questions.
Yes, girls, if you have any questions, you may please ask sir regarding your clarification. Anybody has any doubt?
Students, I'm not in physical, otherwise my physical presence of teaching would be different. I have a limitation in online not to see everyone. Otherwise, when it is physical, I'm slightly different. Yeah, yeah, Zaheda,
Sir, you
please.
said right that there is a difference between the metaverse to the world to the I mean the 2.0 where we interact and the 3.0 where we have to pay subscriptions, right? So
Correct.
what type of subscriptions are exactly uh, like if we take example of LinkedIn, to access extra features, we have to pay. We have to pay certain amount for accessing the premium account. So, is it that type of subscription, or is there any other type of subscription that takes us to another version, sir?
Zaheda, have you heard about Decentraland?
Sorry, sir.
Have you heard about Decentraland
No,
at any
sir.
point of time? No, right? So you are aware of the blockchain concept?
Yes, sir.
You have heard the blockchain, right? What is blockchain? Zaheda.
I don't know, sir, but if you explain, I'll understand.
So that's why. So your first response was I know. The second response was exactly I don't know. So this is exactly what I told you. You need to be very clear. Rest of the students, can you please mute? Rest of the students, can you please mute? Yeah. So Zaheda, you need to be very clear when you talk, what you know and what you don't know. In this new age world, it is very important. When you say I know and subsequently you shift to I don't know, then the corporates will read in a different manner. So blockchain, what happens is it is a distributed ledger. It's a decentralized ledger. That means it is a peer-to-peer transaction. So there is nothing, a server which interacts with the government. So currently what happens, you get a Aadhaar card, you get a voter card, you get your birth certificate, you get your death certificate, everything with one system called government, right? So this government gives you everything what a citizen requires for its country. So now when it comes to blockchain, it is a private network or a peer-to-peer network which works in a decentralized fashion so that there is no dependence or interference of the government. So here what happens is when you get onto this blockchain, this is called Web 3.0. That is a concept of decentralization. So here what people do is in future, probably, like you and I will meet in metaverse to interact with each other. So the LinkedIn will convert into Web 3.0 or a kind of a similar LinkedIn which will come into future where we'll be getting our avatars in metaverse and we'll be interacting there into the Web 3.0. But what happens here is unlike your Web 2.0 where LinkedIn owns the servers, where LinkedIn creates you the space, where LinkedIn actually designs their web pages, you need to just punch in the data. Probably you need to get into the decentralized world, you need to buy the governance tokens. Like, for example, the decentralized, what I told you, you can own a virtual piece of land to construct a college, to construct a mall, to construct a restaurant, or construct a hotel. So when you need to own a piece of land, you need to buy their coins. So here, when you're owning a piece page on LinkedIn, you're not paying anything. Even for registering there, you need to buy their coins, which is mana in this case. And by paying mana, you will be buying a land. To pay those mana coins, still we are required to pay the hard currency, which is your dollars or INR converted to dollars or the Bitcoin. But to own a piece of land in Decentraland, you need to have coin called mana. So once you have those coins, you'll buy a piece of virtual land. And in the piece of virtual land, you will construct your own ideology. It could be a college, it could be a school, or it could be a restaurant, it could be a pub, or it could be a social club, or anything. And then you will invite people there into your place to experience the zone. For example, in Decentraland, now we are seeing virtual music events happening. So we have heard of a physical music events, but we have not heard of virtual music events. Now the owners of Decentraland, whoever have bought the virtual lands, now they are conducting virtual music concerts. But to participate into that virtual music concerts, you need to have mana coins. Like for example, this class is particularly live streamed on YouTube, if I'm not wrong. So anyone in YouTube can just search without paying any amount. They can just watch this. But when this the same kind of a live streaming is required to be watched, you need to pay for that service. So I hope you got this difference.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So are you into marketing specialization?
No, sir. Finance and business analytics.
Business analytics. So when it comes to business analytics, this piece is very important, because what happens is now the global labels like Nike, Reebok, and all your luxury labels, they're actually sitting with Meta to understand how the advertising can be done in a Web 3.0 and how the revenue and cost can be justified. So watch this space very closely.
Okay.
So anyone else would like to ask anything? It could be anything here. I'm an open guy pertaining to multiple subjects. So any subject, any sphere can ask any question, except mathematics, because this is something which I've done very long back.
Do we have any more questions from the students? I think there are no more questions, sir.
Okay.
Thank you
I
so
hope
much.
I hope students have enjoyed it. If it is too much of information, because of the paucity of time, I need to talk many things. But nevertheless, each point is a different topic to be discussed. You can all reach LK in YouTube. Our channels in the social media is LK. There's a lot of content on business and leadership which we post on. Students can be free to watch it.
For sure, I think they will definitely visit your YouTube links also, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for orienting our students regarding so many things that are required for the present students to get employed for tomorrow's corporate world. I think we are all been working on the same things, sir, for the students. Our madam has been working really hard to orient them on advanced Excel, Power BI, Tableau, and all that you were suggesting.
Correct.
So the students, I think, will definitely equip themselves with all these necessary skills for getting employed in the corporate world. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for covering so much in a very short time and accepting our invitations. Thank you very much.
Most welcome. Most welcome. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Girls, stay back for the feedback link. The feedback link will be posted in the chat box here. So please wait for the feedback link. Can you see the feedback link in the chat box? Are you all there, girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so the feedback link is already posted in the chat box, and we are giving you just 15 minutes of time. Till 1:30 the link will be open. After that, that link will be closed. So please submit your feedback before the time. The feedback link has also been posted in the YouTube link. The students who are attending from the YouTube link can find the feedback link in the YouTube link also. Yes, those who have finished can leave the meeting. All those who have filled the feedback link can leave the meeting.